For those who do not know me, my name is Peti Sina Tebtu Urae, and I've been over a 30-year student teacher of the profound doctrine of the master teacher, known to us as Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, also known as Panabab Yananan, who has been teaching us our ancient culture that we call Wu Sabat, also identified as Wu Nuwaup. And this is a culture that we teach. It stands for those who make decisions based on sound right reasonability, based on the principles of Ma'at, based on following the wisdom of the Hutu. And we teach this due to the simple fact that this is the ancient culture of our African ancestors that we used to live by, and we used to have a harmonious lifestyle and advanced civilizations that we don't have anymore. All of it has been destroyed, and the reason why it has been destroyed is due to the fact that we've lost our reasonability. And this is the reason why we're teaching this doctrine, due to the fact that our people are not reasoning soundly the way they used to reason before, and we're suffering worldwide. And we're arguing we're suffering because of our decision-making skills. We don't reason things out. We do not live the way our ancestors used to live, where their whole focus is being in tune and in harmony with natural nature.
True peace, I'm just going to go directly to the nature books. Listen to reason. However, it is true your psyche can indeed be changed or may change due to bombardment of positive knowledge upon the psyche who perpetuates ignorance and negativeness. And the ignorant psyche would be supplanted by a knowledge psyche or ruling spirit for one reason or another. You might decide to replace your psyche with a more negative or positive spirit. The point is this: the reasonability of the African race decreased down through evolution due to negative evolutionary forces. That's the reason why we're in a stupor mentally, not what this guy said. While the reasonability of other ethnic races are increasing due to their being originated at the beginning of evolution as evolutionary sons and daughters. This would be mankind's straight-haired people, not us. And to compound this situation toward the worst for the Ethiopian race, we are at the worst position. We're at the bottom of the totem pole. Listening to Dr. York's mess or somebody regurgitating and supporting a pedophile is not liberation. Leviathan, who is considered all the spirits collectively, including the ruling ones, sends the less intelligent, less powerful, less authoritative, and more negative spirits to be psyches for members of the Ethiopian race, while sending more intelligent, more powerful, more authoritative, and more positive spirits to the psyches for members of other ethnic races, particularly the Caucasian race. And this is why this writer, Afro Unu, maintains that there are evil spells and curses upon the Ethiopian race from religions. And boy, oh boy, does this guy and Dwight David York promote religion. Hard body. And we must get our psyches changed by way of Nupu and Noon. Our psyche again is the spirit. Let it be remembered always and let it be known. Tahuti, Dwight David York, or this guy in the video cannot do that for you. Mr. Peti Sina Tebtu Reye, he also has the nature books, but he chooses to promote incorrect information. He chooses to support a pedophile. He also takes the name Nupu and affiliates it with pedophilia. And he also takes the name Nupu and affiliates it with an organization. Now, him having the nature books, he should know that these are not good. And once you get the nature books, you're responsible. So he's being irresponsible with the correct information, the nature knowledge, the sun information, and he'd rather provide you with moon madness.
And this is what we're dedicated as students of Wu Sabat to teach, to begin to re-educate our people, to get back to our ancient culture. So for those who are new to this and who are watching this, we just want to let you know every Tuesday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do these discussions for people who want to ask questions. And myself as a student, try my best to answer it to the best of my ability. I'm just one of many students of the master teacher. I'm not infallible, right? I can and do make mistakes. That's why I always recommend people to watch our lectures more than once. Definitely watch our lectures more than once. I myself watch my own lectures more than once, and I learn from my own self and mistakes. So if I got to watch it more than once, definitely you guys would need to watch it more than once. So and I recommend that for everything that I talk about, and definitely when it comes to the master teacher, the literature that he put out, the lectures that he put out. I always recommend. We always taught study our data more than once. For memory drill and for clarity, because there's no way, especially the subject matters that we deal with, there's no way that people can pick it up for the first time listening to it. And I'm talking from years of experience dealing with this, so take my advice.
Mr. Peticina claims 30 years of experience, and he wants you to take his advice because of it. Nuwaupian Noon don't teach us that. Let me go back to the nature books. Never accept a speaker or writer's information until you know his definitions of the key words he or she uses, for then and only then do you know what he or she actually had in mind when the person spoke or wrote. Always demand clear definition for all power and keywords and phrases in any information on liberation or any other vital issue. For this is the only way there is ever a true meeting of the minds between the speaker and listener, or writer and reader. And a true meeting of the mind is necessary to help you determine and conclude whether a speech or writing is right or wrong, true or false. Let these booklets written by Afro Unu, not Dwight David York, be your guide on definitions. Mr. Peticina Taptureye is promoting religion, knowing that it's spellbinding. Wu Sabat and Wu Nuwaup are not African culture. It's made-up cult member jargon based on religion and worship of a pedophile. This is bombardment of incorrect information, and this proves Leviathan does send less intelligent psyches to the African race. He's just proving that. Again, he has the nature books. He has that correct information. He has that nature knowledge. He has that sun information. But instead, he promotes Tahuti. He promotes a pedophile. Now he claims Dwight David York, his master, has taught the African culture, which is Wu Nuwaupian Wu Sabat. He has to prove that. This is what we mean by you have to ask the speaker to define what they mean when they use certain words. Now I'm going to use a nature book, and we're going to see what Afro Unu describes as culture. Listen to reason. When this author, Afro Unu, uses the word culture in this booklet, he means cultivation, mentally, physically, and spiritually, in the form of nature education by sound right reason for determining conduct, decorum, and behavior of persons and things as a way of life, for distinguishing knowledge from ignorance and rightness from wrongness, truth from falsehood, justice from iniquity, honesty from deception, reality from delusion, reason from belief, etc. In other words, true culture is everyday conduct and activities of people based upon absolute nature, sound right reason, and the laws of nature as a way of life and death. Let it be remembered always, and let it be known. The word distinguished conduct and behaviors stood out to me in this paragraph, because up to date people don't know what correct information is due to people still giving Dwight David York credit for the BIAE, Nature Book, 9 Ball, etc. One person I like to name is Charlie. He insists on it, and also the man in my video, Petit Sina Teptu Reye, believes his master teacher wrote the books as well. Neither one of the people I mentioned can distinguish, nor do they know right from wrong. More proof Leviathan provides the most ignorant negative spirits to the African race. The behavior of Dwight David York landed him 135 years in prison, a very deceptive man. Afro Uno, total opposite, and his everyday conduct was based on correct information he received from Nupu. Dwight York was casting spells, and he was also under a spell. He dressed as Tahuti, he misled his followers, he's misleading them up to date. We can tell by the incorrect information that Mr. Reye, his name is very long, I can't remember it, is also promoting in this video that I took from his YouTube.
Watch our stuff more than once if you are dedicated to becoming a student and really trying to comprehend what it is that we're teaching and the significance of what we're teaching. So, like we do every week, we start with what we call our namas, our prayer system, right? And so I want to, first thing, let's see, is share my screen. So those who have the prayer system, they can follow. Now, of course, the prayer system is in English and in our language, Musba'u. And so we definitely invite anyone who wants to follow along. You can read it. And if you want to get access to it, I have no problem sending it out to anybody who wants to learn the prayer system that we go through. And just so you know, for those who do not know, prayer is basically an affirmation system. It is also a system that is designed to assist you with making communication with your ancestors who do exist on higher dimensions. I repeat, our prayer system is a system of affirmations, right? And a system of communicating with your ancestors who do exist on higher dimensions. And this is the whole basis behind our teachings. Our whole teachings is about re-educating our people on how to make contact with our ancestors who exist on higher dimensions.
Okay, he explains they have a prayer system. The prayer system is how affirmations work, and affirmations are basically ask, believe, and receive. You will manifest it by repeating and repeating the same thing over and over. The thing that's good about affirmation is that it promotes positivity. You just say positive things to yourself over and over. That's good because positivity, thinking positive, makes the atmosphere positive. So that's the good thing. But on the flip side, these guys are attempting to free their master, Dwight York, and they also contact the underworld gods, which are in no favor of the African race whatsoever. So that's where it gets tricky and elusive, and where people need to pay attention to what's really going on. I'm going to use the nature books again to show how Nunibus conversate with Nupu. First off, I'm going to say you're not a student or a child, you're a relative, and you're relating by having a normal conversation from one mind to another. That's how it works. You don't need to give anybody a set of prayers or affirmations to contact anyone. Nupu has been here since February 5th, 1962. Listen to reason. Listen to reason. Yet Nun is not pantheism, that implies worship all gods, because Nunibus, adherents of Nun and Nupu, do not worship any god. We relate to them as one mind of nature relates to another mind of nature. We converse with Nupu, the powers of sound right reason, by pronouncing the name Nupu at least 9 times, and then talking with Nupu just as we converse with our immediate parents. For Nupu is the original parent powers of the Ethiopian race. Therefore, Nunibus of the Ethiopian race are not servants of Nupu, but relatives instead. Emphasizing the name Nupu by thought whisper or pronouncing the name out loud magnifies the powers of Nupu for better communications. The best way to serve Nupu is to serve each other in Nupu's knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Nupu is growing to be and going to be the world's soul. Let it be remembered always and let it be known. The Sabean cult members, they worship and idolize one man. They also use a language they made up and it doesn't exist anywhere on the planet. That's deception.
And this is a process, and all of our lectures are designed, are dedicated to in essence educating our people about this simple reality. Okay, so I'm going to get started to go through the prayer system, and then after the prayer system we go through our core principles, and then we get into our discussion for our topic for the day. So let's begin.
Oh, I'm definitely not sitting through this prayer, nor am I sitting here listening to this fake made-up language. I'm just going to fast forward where they have a prayer for the Dwight York to be free. Who in their right mind would want to free this beast? And again, I'd like to know, why are you affiliating the name Nupu with pedophilia?
Yeu muktamu afutnu entkum mana yaka laduda salafunu wu yasaunu mana yaka sawura pa mana yaka kawuna ka'u mana yaka afta akha mana yaka kawuna basha wu daman yeu nataru muktamu afush muftadnu enhu kawun manzal mana pa nataru afush enhu kawun baba yananu Afush anhu kawunatun ra'e afush anhu kawun khafush namazota.
Guard you from wickedness. Who was there for them children when the wicked master was violating them? It's over for your Lord and Savior. The justice forces put him right where he needs to be, and the time for the Savior has passed. I'm just going to show a couple of the underworld gods that they're praying to, and then I'm going to go to the nature books. I'm getting so nauseated right now having to deal with this, but it's necessary.
Ya Asa Yanata, Ya Asa Yanata, Ya Asa Yanata, Yanabab Tahata Yanata, Ya Sataf Yanata, Ya Hara Yanata, the Tara Shalil Pa Mae, Ya Haptwi Yanata, Ya Anakta Yanata, Ya Ha Haratwi Yanata. So now, that was our prayer system, right? Excuse me. And from there, we go into our affirmations.
From here, we're going to the nature books, and we're going to look at what it says in the books about these filthy underworld gods. The moon god of ancient times, known by various names like Yahweh, Thoth, Hermes, Mercury, Sin, Ogun, Siva, Elohim, Java, Lord, etc. Jehovah is the moon god in the style of the Caucasian race, who people call God today is the underworld god of ancient times, known by different names like Osiris, Yama, Anubis, Pluto, Lord, etc. Pluto is the underworld god in the style of the Caucasian race. The point the writer makes is this: the spirit gods and goddesses of ancient times who helped the ancients and sages of antiquity give culture and decorum to the world of all peoples, have gone no place from planet Earth, and no new gods have arrived from elsewhere. The gods and goddesses of antiquity have only and simply evolved into other names, languages, places, philosophies, and activities, using persons and things for their best interest and in their best interest. Spirit beings use and control flesh and blood beings for their own survival and pleasure and well-being. Let it be remembered always, and let it be known.
Based on following the wisdom of the Hutu.
These gods have abandoned us. It was predestined to happen. They turned for the worst. The seasons, cycle, and gases all play a part on the circle of existence. We are at the bottom. These spirits are at the bottom. They have to follow the laws of nature. And it doesn't include us. Any black person in their right mind would not glorify these negative forces. Tahuti is not in favor of the African race. Leviathan, again, I'm going to repeat this because repeats of information are great for memory drill. Leviathan distributes the most ignorant and negative spirits, also known as psyches, to the African race.
To know who is Tahuti. Okay, Tahuti, whose proper name is Dahutri, is the mind of existence, right? So Tahuti, they say Tahuti, but the proper translation, what some would argue, is Dahutri. Dahutri is, and it represents the mind of existence. Okay, now Dahutri represents our higher mind of sound right reasoning, aka Wusabat. For he was from Cyrus, aka what our ancestors call Subdetet, right? So Cyrus star system was identified as Subdetet, and they call it Cyrus. The Greeks basically changed the name to Cyrus, whatever. Okay, now Dahutri teaches us the laws of nature, or aka we say the rules of nature, for he was the master of it. Dahutri was identified by our ancestors as a moon god, as well as the god who protects Re'e against Apophis, or aka Leviathan. She was the recorder of time, as well as the god who maintained Ma'at, right? As well as the god or mind of creation, having no beginning of days or end of life, which is why he was called thrice great. Okay. Now, the symbol of Dahutri is the ibis bird, which is the symbol of the aka ether energy. Now, let's see if I can bring that up. The ibis bird. If I can bring up the ibis bird, the okay, so you guys can see this is the okay, and so this is where we get the word ether from, in our culture, in our culture, and so here we at this is the Britannica, I guess, Encyclopedia Britannica. You gotta subscribe, so okay, can't see it from there. What else has it? Let's see, Wikipedia. Okay, so here's the let's see if they have a symbol of the This is the symbol of the So the was the ibis bird, okay, and it stood for intellect, or it was the energy of creation itself, the The Greeks called it ether. That's where they get the term ether from. So I just kind of wanted to give you guys a heads up on that, what is. So let's go back. So the head of the Dahutri was the symbol of the ibis bird, which is the which signified the energy of the human mind. So when you see Dahutri has the head of the ibis bird, it means that the brain, the synapses, the energy of the brain is ether energy. And he was the personification of the mind, of ether energy, the mental or the mind that the universe is made of, this creation energy called Ah. Then we go on to say Dahutri was, Dahutri was copied by monotheistic religions, and he became known as Melchizedek to the Hebrews, the angel Michael to the Christians, and El Khidr to the Muslims. Okay. Dahutri is the heart of Ra'e, aka Ashak. So he represented Ashak, love itself, which is the mental energies of creation, which signified that he was the source of the power of love. So Dahutri represented that. Dahutri is the judge between the battle of Har and Sutuk, aka our higher self versus our lower self. Dahutri in modern times would be considered dark energy, aka and dark matter, also known as Noon to our ancestors, which represent the number 9, or what we call aka 9 ether, which means that when he woke from slumber, aka the Big Bang, spoke the first word. So in our creation story, when it talks about Dahutri, he was one of our created deities, or Natharu in ancient Kemet. He was a created deity, and he spoke the first word. Okay, and so we're saying in today's culture, that would be what scientists would call the first tone of creation. They call it the Big Bang, and from that you get what they have is dark energy and dark matter. Right. So if you look at, let me see if I can bring this up for you guys. So if you look at basically the universe itself is made up of primarily dark energy, the blackness of space. And then they say like 21% of it is dark matter, and only 4% of the universe is visible light, which is the suns that we see throughout the balanced multiverse or balanced universe that we're looking at. Right. So what scientists have realized and identified is that the universe itself is of this dark energy, a dark matter. And in that, or how can I say, when the universe came into existence, it represented a tone. Now, again, the scientists today would say that's the Big Bang, and our ancestors identify that with Dahutri. And just for those who do not know, the master teacher wrote a book on this subject matter called The Wisdom of Dahutri.
This guy's the worst. Did you notice how he bypassed the highlighted word Nupu and went on to talking about his master's book? He claims he had the books for many years. He claims he's been doing this for 30 years. He's using the name Nupu.org. Nupu doesn't do organizations. Now he has Nupu News. There's no news about Nupu or the positive forces of nature anywhere on his page. Nowhere on his page. He's putting Tahuti in a position where he sounds like he's primary when it comes to the beginnings and the creation. It's pathetic. I may do a part 2, I don't know yet. I'd like to mention he was also very disrespectful to Nupu and Afro Uno when he was sitting there remixing information concerning Tahuti. He was taking stuff from the nature books and putting claim on Tahuti. It's ridiculous. Tahuti has nothing to do with the mind. He has nothing to do with sound right reason. You said sound right reason was Wu Sabat. Disrespectful. I'm done. I'm so sick of having to deal with these clowns. Ray claims that the cult that he's in, it's about love. There's no way it's about love when you're sitting here remixing correct information with incorrect information. It's no way it's about love. You're being deceptive. You're no different than your master. You're following in his footsteps. You're being a misleader. The man of many faces has taught you well in ignorance.
Got it bumping.